We really do not have the kind of money Nigerians think we have. And the thing on the comment section you saw a lot was, oh, the president just bought a yacht. And I'm like, yeah, but you do get that we're talking country, not individual.
Well, how can you afford a yacht if you don't have money?
You want to sell land now, you put it on the market, and 2 weeks after, maybe even in that same week, it's all gone. And my question is, who is buying it? I thought we said, people were getting poorer. Who are buying this real estate? When we hear that somebody has stolen 20 billion, somehow, it's really not our money, right? If not my money you thief, I will be more invested in this conversation. Even in our delusion of grandeur, Giant of Africa, it seemed like it was true, right? And we felt it was true, right? Now it's only in the club that we are Giant of Africa. Anything that it requires to fix Nigeria now, let's gather it and fix. We don't have time.
I agree.
In 2024, Onlyfans paid out $5.8 billion to creators.
The oldest career or oldest job on this earth is prostitution.
Hello everyone, welcome to Drinks and Mics, brought to you by Nairametrics. My name is Ugo Dre and we do this every week, Friday, 6 p.m. We go live. Technically, you can watch it live from 6 p.m. and anytime you like at your own pace. We've got a full gang in the house, of course. I'm going to do some introduction. To my right is Mr. Tunji Andrews. He's a pension innovator, someone who pushes the narrative of pension. That's all he does all his life. During the day, during the weekend, he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. He tries to be like. Yes. And then in his dreams, he feels he's a tax collector. All of you that drag him, we're all dragging. He feels like he's the one that should make all of us pay tax.
Yes.
And of course, to my left, let me finish.
Sorry, do this.
To my left, of course, is Arnold Dublin-Green. Sir Arnold Dublin-Green, according to him, give himself that name.
No, I was actually given. I was Dublin.
Oh, you were given. Okay, all right. He was dubbed that name by Rolake. Rolake gave him that name. And Arnold, during the day, we all know what he does. Fund manager, makes all the right, good bets, great bets, gold, stocks, commodities. That's what he does. Makes money for people. So, in case maybe you want to be on his tag team, you can join him. But of course, in his dreams, he feels he's Tiger Woods. But we know he's nowhere close. Nowhere close to it. Nowhere close. He's just learning his stripe. But we have the real deal in the house today. Hey. You ready? When big men come to drink some wine, you can see the table. You can see that we're drinking. Big men drinking in his house today.
Yes.
We have the pleasure of having Seyi Akinwale join the Drinks and Mics gang today.
Thanks, guys.
Good to have you, bro. I know Seyi as serial investor on the board of a lot of companies, but let's have you. Give us a little bit of background of your your career, successful career.
No, thanks for having me, guys. It's such a pleasure being here. I watch you guys every week, so it's a pleasure to sit behind the cameras and see the incredible platform you guys have built.
Thank you
over the years. So my background, I see myself as a solutionist. My background has been centered around using financing as a lever to grow businesses and create industries. So background has been centered around consulting. I used to be a director at PwC. I've also been involved in financing, used to lead the project and structured finance team at FCMB. And so was involved in a lot of syndicated transactions when the privatization of a lot of national assets happened in the energy spaces, was a vital part of that financing work. Spent some time in project development, developing industries from ideation to conception and the financing of that. One of the interesting deals we did, which is a success, was GZI. From the ideation stage till the initial set of investors came in, and now I think the folks at what's this company again? And Eric, Verot Capital.
Verot Capital.
Yeah, they've taken that to the next level with the original co-investors. But until recently, I used to also be at GE. I led GE Capital for Sub-Saharan Africa, which was helping to attract financing for industrials and sovereigns to get access.
That's when I heard about you, though, when you were in GE.
Yeah, spent about 8 years there. Fun times. great stories to tell now on our efforts to try to industrialize, the continent of Africa, and a lot of experiences around that, and then sit on the board of a couple of companies in the energy sector and the finance sector also. So incredibly honored to be part of this. And
we are honored to have you, man. I mean, for our viewers, you already know that you're locked in for a very interesting conversation. We've got someone with experience here, not somebody trying to tell us to just pay taxes because we think we're poor, like they think we're poor when we know that we're a rich country.
All the oil,
Arnold.
all
Exactly.
the oil, all the gold, uranium,
remember all those songs they used to sing back then?
Yes,
Like Nigeria.
yes.
Like Nigeria has
How can you
money.
forget palm oil?
Yeah. Number one.
Yeah.
Largest exporter of yam.
I am
Today, how
convinced.
dare you?
And guess what, Arnold?
convinced.
We
With
even
your
have
glasses.
We even have your favorite, Arnold. What's my favorite? Gold.
Yes, we do.
I'm talking about gold rally.
Yes.
What's going
Yes.
on?
Gold
Hit
rally.
4K.
Yes, and I was awake to watch that. So
You were awake.
I stayed awake until 2 a.m. I had to watch it.
So basically the way people were watching countdown to the new year.
Yeah, 100%.
Or, Arsenal about to score a goal, you were watching.
So one of the ways I trade gold is through futures, through futures contracts. But I have access to a platform that allows me to trade a gold spot price, but like a futures contract. So when the week started, gold was about 4,800 and something. I just had a feeling. This is not analysis. I just had a feeling that gold would cross 4,000. So when it got to 4,800 and something, I saw it pull back. So for every $10 it pulled back, I kept buying more contracts and more contracts and more contracts because I wanted to cross that rally. So when I saw it get to 4,950, I knew I couldn't sleep. So
3,950.
Sorry, 3,950. Sorry, yeah, because I was buying it when it went to it was at 4,800 and something by the start of the week. I bought a few contracts.
4,800 or 3,800.
Sorry, see, I'm excited. I'm just excited. So as it kept going down, I kept buying more and more. Remember, I'm not sure if you remember. I always say this. I love you when a good asset gets cheap. Because you buy more. So when I see Zenith go down, I buy more. When I see gold, I buy more. So as I saw it go down, I kept buying more and buying more. So I had to watch it cross because it's just something you do.
Psychological.
Yeah,
So did you
something
exit
do.
some of that position?
Yeah, I mean, listen. From the start of the year, when I said gold would be the most important assets for 2025, the most important trade. My target price for the end of the year was 3,500, mainly based on central bank buying. Because central banks buying gold is, at crazy levels, and these guys are not price sensitive. So I based my model on 710 tons per quarter of central bank buying. My end of year target was $3,500. And then my end of Q2 2026 target was $4,000. We're in Q4 2025 and gold has crossed $4,000.
What was your entry price?
Average, the average price.
In the
Because
2000s.
Tunji is going to tell Tiger we're daily right now. So come get it.
But I mean, listen, I saw it. I saw it early, right? So, we got in, or I got in. So seeing the 4,000 is nice and it's exciting, but it's now scary because one thing about me is when I'm making money, I don't sleep. Because I'm worried about the top, right? So when we saw 3,200, I got nervous. 3,800, really nervous. So naturally, 3,900, I'm not sleeping. So 4,000, you have to exit and figure things out because I was long gold futures, long gold cash, gold, long gold leveraged ETF, long gold sports ETF, long gold junior miner ETF, long gold miner ETF, Barrett
Just
gold.
buy gold. Just buy the gold.
So very, very long gold, right? So when you see certain prices, you start getting worried. So all my energy right now is trying to figure out where the top is. Yeah, because-
Warren Buffett always said don't buy gold. Like he kind of always said it then that like gold doesn't generate revenue, so
Because of
why
the yield.
buy it?
Yeah.
Like
I think his philosophy was very interesting, or is very interesting. He always says he only invests in stuff he understands. And so I share that philosophy myself. So even with things like crypto, I know Tunji is a fan of crypto. I always hear you talk about it all the time. I only invest in stuff I understand. And I think that's what Buffett's idea was, around that.
but is gold so complicated to
I
understand?
don't think it's that complicated. But again, I'm keen to understand how when you say you had a flop or a top price of 3.5
Yeah.
at the end of the year, and now
it's gone way past it. But I can even answer that. One of the reasons why a lot of people don't like to buy gold and say don't buy gold because it's not a yielding asset. It's not like a bond where a bond pays coupon, a bond has a yield, or a stock has a dividend, right? But that relationship, in my view, has actually changed, right? So gold, normally, historically, gold would perform badly when interest rates are high, right? When inflation is high, when interest rates are high, so a positive real yield environment. That relationship was very apparent and very obvious for many years, leading up to 2023, 2024. What you now see is gold has gone away. So that what that really meant was, inflation was high, gold acted as a hedge, right? But what you're seeing now is you're sort of seeing a break away from that, because even now that inflation is sort of sticky, you're seeing gold rally. So that inflation or yielding, and that yield or gold having a lack of yield argument has gone out the window. What gold now is literally a central bank purchasing assets and a geopolitical safe haven, right? So it's gone away from that inflation. Because one of the reasons why I was worried about gold getting to 4,000 is US inflation a bit sticky? Are they going to get down to below there at 2.9% or so now? Are they going to go below? But regardless of the worries, gold is still
but isn't this so? Because what confuses me sometimes is gold rally is usually associated with fears, global economic fears, maybe high inflation, or fear that there could be some kind of global recession. But that is not the case now. So I was watching some program earlier, and they kind of tied gold rally to a weaker dollar. So there's some kind of relationship around that. Yeah,
so naturally, and that's the general commodity thing, right? So anything priced in dollars will get more expensive as the dollar gets weaker. So that's a direct.
You said that's not the situation now. Gold usually rallies when there's economic.
Yeah, when there's like
uncertainty.
But you said that's not the situation now.
Yeah, is there economic uncertainty?
So we're going to be talking about Jamie Dimon.
Jamie Dimon also. Dimon also said that.
So those are the things, right?
Yeah.
So I personally think Jamie is on a course to be right.
Broken clock is right once a day. Was it twice a day?
So I think I'll quote him as
he's determined to be right now because it's not making any more sense. But the truth is that people on Wall Street listen to him, and people like him, right? So and there's been a significant rally in the last couple of weeks. We've seen that in crypto market, we've seen that in gold. It doesn't make sense for me anymore, right?
AI stuff as well.
Because I saw when Bitcoin broke above 120K, I was like, okay, yeah, I get this. It went to 121, 122, 120. I was like, come on. There's no reason there. And then, some other coins, like some smaller coins like MNT broke over 2,000. And I'm like, what's going on here now? So me, I just moved to a safe,
So you're invested crypto now?
I'm still in, but I'm just moved to a stable coin. Let's wait.
Oh, wow.
Let's wait out the madness.
Yeah.
When you guys.
Well, the funny thing is, I'm actually strong Bitcoin. I've become a very strong Bitcoin. I think that in the next 5 years, Bitcoin is going to become a very important asset.
That's the question.
It's just the way you shift, man.
Yeah. So I'll go back to the gold story.
Yeah.
So if you look at gold early days in the way gold behaved, the volatility of gold in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, that volatility, I'm seeing the same. We saw the same volatility in the early stages of crypto, especially the early stages of Bitcoin. But as Bitcoin became an investment asset, and what made me see Bitcoin as an investment asset was when guys like BlackRock, iShares started to create ETFs, and the SEC, the SEC, US SEC started to regulate these ETFs. So Bitcoin has an ETF, Ethereum has an ETF, even Ripple also has an ETF. So when it now becomes institutionalized, what you find is volatility starts to reduce. So we might see a pullback. I don't think we'll see that crazy pullback that we used to see because these institutional investors are now in.
Oh no,
And for me
I
now
don't
it's
think
become-
I don't think we're going to see it drop to like maybe 70s again. But I don't think this 125, 127 it makes any
Shay,
sense.
I mean, you've been in this space. What I mean space, tracking the economy, markets, business. Like you've been there all through the years. Is there something that worries you about the way the world is today? Like you're seeing asset prices hit new highs.
It's not
every
traditional
day.
again.
Yeah, and this is amidst geopolitical issues around the world, fears of immigration, and then juxtapose that with AI and
France can't figure themselves out.
and all that. Even
Japan.
government, France they've had multiple prime ministers resign. UK, they're struggling with taxes. They don't know how to plug that hole. America as well. There's a government shutdown at the moment, trying to struggle. Like, in fact, in the US, we've never seen a more polarized political situation like we're seeing now.
Indeed.
But in spite of all this,
markets
markets
are
just
rallying.
don't care.
It's absolutely insane.
Aren't you worried?
No, it's interesting though, because for me, this is, I think, in the last couple of years, it's the first time I've seen that markets are not being driven by economic policies or economic
Fundamentals.
macroeconomic fundamentals. You're seeing more social, economic issues driving how markets really perform. Again, you talk about the immigration issues that exist in the UK and the US. It's very topical. You talk about the stability on how governments are responding to those issues, driving the perception of how investors want to take a long-term position on a country and otherwise. And so that's strange and interesting. And it makes, it makes everybody become a betting man. Like when you talk about Jamie, there isn't many things, because in truth, the markets are relatively stable today.
Yeah.
In the US, in Africa, relatively stable. But when he says and he predicts that next year is going to be a recession, you're wondering, okay, what's going to drive that?
So I think
hold on, sorry. But isn't markets connected to real
Everyday
businesses?
life.
Exactly. So businesses, are they doing this well? Like globally, are there fundamentals backing these things? I mean, maybe from your own experience, is that maybe you've you know what? I was just, a typical example is travel. Like tickets are sky high and people are still
And it's
traveling.
still full. Yeah.
So what's
Planes are
going
still
on?
full.
What's driving everything? Food is expensive, but people are still buying food and
Maybe we
eating.
just realized that there is a wider economy outside brick and mortar businesses. There is a wide. I do get that there might be
that is doing well. Like,
that is.
that's performing.
So where's all this demand coming from? Because you can't demand, like, every economy is supported by demand somewhere,
Yeah.
right? It's got to be demand for something. So where's this demand coming from? Is this a COVID era lag that we're all still riding on, or is this?
But this is
a
a
technology wave that we're right? Like what exactly?
No. But
is
this is
the
a
demand?
time. This is a time where we've seen the creative economy do numbers that we've never experienced before.
Creative economy.
Yeah, the creative economy. I'm talking
Like
about
arts, entertainment.
arts, people who have now even take it to the more simple types, like people who have a YouTube channel, earning 30K a month.
Oh, okay.
That we've never seen that happen anywhere
Onlyfans.
before. You get people, those kind of people.
That's the OnlyFans.
Earning
you
earning
subscribe?
millions annually. But that is one side. Then there is the other side of
There's
also.
a Nigerian version as well, Access or something.
I thought you knew. I thought you would know. What's it called?
Wow.
Like what you're saying is no longer important right now.
Because I really thought that was a very interesting business model, right? Because
It is.
Yeah, it's
It
a
is.
Naira priced OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
OnlyFans is doing well. OnlyFans in dollars, nothing.
So I'm just curious, like, so
I would-
Listen,
Like,
if they
what
were
are they
doing
selling at
fundraising,
Yeah,
I would
I'd invest in that.
You
I would
invest.
invest. All
But why-
access.
Yeah.
All access
why
funds.
would LinkedIn invest in OnlyFans?
Yeah, if
I'd
the
invest in
Nigerian
that.
version came out and invest,
Yeah,
There was some news reporting to that, I think last week, that new LinkedIn taking a position in buying Onlyfans, and I don't see the quality. I don't know how we got to this.
Someone talked about
Tunji and Arnold are very, very familiar.
How did
This sort of conversation. This is like, they've got solid interest in that economy.
Okay,
Like you and I read this thing in news, right? But
let me go back to where I was before we went.
They invest in all ways.
Also, this is also a time where we're seeing the AI community. Now, forget the companies. Now, the companies at the top are doing well, but we're hearing talks about people being signed up for $100 million bonuses and all kinds of craziness. And this is not just in one place; it's in a lot of places.
So Ronaldo just got a new deal, $300 million.
So when we say that the world isn't doing well, we have to put context to it. What used to be the drivers are no longer the drivers today, and we need to kind of accept that the world has moved on from what it used to be. Even in Nigeria.
But can I ask, is it that the world isn't doing well or the rich-poor divide is getting wider? Because there's still, poverty rate is still quite high in certain countries.
Yeah.
Nigeria, for example, right? So there's this whole concept by this guy, Thomas Piketty, this economist has said, as time goes on.
French guy.
Yeah. The rich will get richer, the poor will get poorer. And it's because of asset prices, right? So what tends to happen, just to summarize really quickly in the first couple of chapters is, rich... You get money, you get wealthy, you invest in assets. Asset prices are going up.
And those assets will continue to make you richer.
Exactly. And then if you look at the guy getting paid a lot of money, also getting paid cash and assets, right? But unfortunately for people who can't afford to use their money to buy assets, who will just have to live on wages, it's the poor are getting poorer, the rich are getting richer. So do you think that perhaps we're just only seeing the rich get richer, but we're not really hearing that the poor are also getting poorer? So economics tells me that if you actually look at it, the poor are getting poorer, the rich are getting richer.
My point is even that we are seeing a new type of rich.
Yeah.
That's my point. That we're seeing a new type of rich that we didn't factor in before.
Yeah.
So when we're saying businesses are not doing well, we are saying what we used to know as businesses might not be doing well. But there's a new class of people who are driving travel, who are going around the world, who have a lot of money.
So do we have billionaire influencers in Nigeria now? Is that what you're...
Billionaires and dollar billionaires?
Billionaire influencers in
Naira? In Naira?
Influencers. Do we have that?
I don't know. I've not seen their numbers.
Really wealthy? Again, I think Nigeria is a very aspirational society.
you
And
don't get money.
So a lot of people at the core of it do not have anything to back up the flaws. And so you'll find that, especially with the influencing market, I don't know that there's a lot of solidity backing that industry as such. But
so or maybe to
Tunji's one that's emerging though.
Yeah, so maybe to Tunji's point, there might not be there might not be, wealthy in the, I guess, definition of wealthy, really, really, really rich, but they're earning enough to sustain themselves,
to aspire to travel.
And this is probably driving a lot of all this demand that we're seeing.
To buy a car. So for instance, check one of the things. So I was talking to somebody yesterday. It was a business meeting, but we kind of segued into real estate. And he was telling us about, he lives, after Ajah towards Ekpe. And he was telling me about, because he was very close to the Omoniles, anytime they wanted to do a celebration, they would come and meet him. And he's talking about maybe 15 years ago, they would come and say, they want to sell this land. So now he's ended up with about maybe 60 to 100 plots on that stretch, right? So I'm looking at this guy and I'm thinking, 60 to 100 plots. I mean, even if you sell them for like maybe, I don't know what, like 10 million each, this guy is cashing out to the bank. And everything he bought at that time was not as much as 10 million combined collectively. So he was talking about how the real estate on that axis and people who have been able to buy it, have now made a lot of money. But then there's something that, really struck me. It was the fact that you want to sell land now, you put it on the market, and 2 weeks after, maybe even in that same week, it's all gone. And my question is, who is buying it? I thought I thought we said, people were getting poorer. Who are buying this real estate? Think about it. So
So bottom line now is that you guys are saying this so-called asset, whatever, and I don't want to use the word bubble, is it going to continue?
It's going to bust.
Yeah, but I was about to say bubbles have to burst, right?
That's as if we're in a bubble. I don't think. We're just saying we're not in a bubble. Do we think we're in a bubble? Shay, do you think we're in a bubble?
There's definitely a bubble. I don't think there
Where do you think the bubble is?
Well, it's in a lot of things that do not lack. There's no asset backing it. Again, when you talk about the creatives or the influencing market, your cycle, your run rates is not very high. So when you see influencers, how long can they last in their
So long as they keep making people funny.
So again?
So long as they keep making people laugh and entertaining and all that.
I want to say this too. I want to look into the camera.
Uh-oh.
No hot take. I want to say there is structure around creatives in the US, in the UK, that make their screen assets tangible. Not longevity, they just are able, forget monetizing. So, Mr. Beast, for instance, right? Mr. Beast is views, but those views have been monetized into several other things. So he now has drinks. He's able to create chocolate. He's able to do, so he's been able to convert that screen time to monetization of tangible assets. No, he's not. He's actually, he's probably the biggest.
More than 10.
They're not that much.
So what I'm saying is that if there's anybody that is building any business around doing that for Nigerians, creatives, I'd like to speak to that person. I'm just shameless.
All right, so we'll move on anyway.
Structure.
Yeah, we gotta move on, guys. We gotta move on into.
See the money I've been.
I've always said that I talked about it, but there's no structure.
So you were explaining the Nigerian Onlyfans.
Oh my God.
Investments.
Oh my God.
No, but listen, I was just saying that.
So
you've seen the traction that OnlyFans. You've seen the traction.
Just curious to know.
You've seen the traction that OnlyFans has. I can't remember the billions of valuation and then the payouts as well to.
Are those payouts real?
But the OnlyFans have announced they announced the payouts. It's part of their announcements.
Because you see some people say that they made.
I'm not sure about individual payouts, but I know the company. I know OnlyFans
year,
itself.
And I'm thinking,
You're undervalued. So what do you go to the gym for every day? You go to the gym every day and
you can put your foot on OnlyFans.
Yeah. As a side hustle.
Oh my God, that's a lot of money, boy.
The Nigerian version. So going back to that, I just like the fact that there's a Nigerian version of this, and there should be a Pan-African version of this, right? So this Nigerian version should just expand across. Where in Kenya you pay shillings, in Ghana you pay cedis, in Rwanda you pay francs, in Ghana you pay shillings.
And you can make it Pan-African, the content too.
Listen, if there's a fundraise for this, I'm not looking at the camera, but I'm not allowed to do it. Feel free to, because I think that this is an opportunity, and they're also positive to doing this, right? You're keeping workers safe.
Yeah.
In a safe space and a safe environment. So I
see what you did there. You skipped the core word.
I had a segment for employment on the show today, and I really don't know.
And isn't part of the GDP now? I thought we're adding things to GDP, the balance GDP.
This is the problem when Arnold takes rum. By the way, guys, we're all on rum today. We're all on rum today, so I don't know. But let's move on. Some good news. Well, I don't know how to call it good news, but some news filtered in during the week. FTSE announced that they were going to put Nigeria on a watch list. And that
it's
not
a bad watch list, though, because
it's a good watch list. Watch list means because currently we're unlisted as a country where you can invest. Yeah, so typically you have unlisted, you have frontier market, emerging market, and we want to be in that emerging market space. So we kicked out of frontier market a couple of years ago. 2023, and now FTSE saying, okay, we kind of like what we're seeing in Nigeria. They had this scorecard thing that I saw, and there were quite a lot of reds, but there were some interesting greens. Yeah, there were some reds. It's right there on the screen. Yeah, mostly around Forex. They had some reds around Forex and a lot of that, which I'm going to call out in a bit. But curious to know, Seyi, what's your thought around FTSE trying to add this good sort of like would I call it a pass mark, or does this sort of support the talk that perhaps the economy is on the up?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good positive signal to the Nigerian government. I think, and a pat on the back to the guys driving our monetary policy and fiscal discipline. Clearly, everyone acknowledges that there has been improvements in that fiscal discipline. If not for the changes that has happened and the discipline to ensure that there's been a mop-up of the excess liquidity, I think the fortune of the company will have turned around. There was an interesting debate about, is your life better? I think I was watching a few months ago when the NBA was saying, is your life better today than it was last year? And I think that was a very wrong question, because the right question was, if we had continued on the path we were going on, what would our lives have become today if not for the intervention of the leadership at the CBN, if not for the good work being done, with the coordinating ministry? What would have happened to the trajectory of the Nigerian economy? And I think it's definitely positive, and it's good work that they are doing. A lot of people don't see the drive and strategy happening in the non-oil exports, because you're not seeing those results today. But I think there's a lot of strategy direction, and thoughts that the government is putting in that direction also, that gives room for hope. And I'm happy to hear about this, being put back on the market.
Isn't it why we were seeing $200 million traded across our market back in the day when we're on the FTSE? That's the Financial Times.
We're EM. We're
Financial Times Stock Exchange. We're on what's MSCI, Stanley. So across those markets. So think about it this way: it's just a market available to all traders across the world. And the great thing about that thing is that sometimes in the whole trading, everybody will go for the choice stocks. So maybe you have a little 10 bips, it's just there sitting. So you just say, what's even out there? Let me just spread it across what is going on. And that brings a lot of inflow into the country. The general context for me, again, is that this is a good step, but this is still bringing FPI into the country. We need to bring more solid capital into the country. And of course, we're going to be talking about debt very soon. So this is a step in the right direction, but I think it's we still need to do a lot more.
So what I will say, I'll say this, and I'll leave with it, and I'll end with strong advice. If you look at crises across nations, FDIs are normally the last to exit, and the last to get in, but FDI follow FPI, right? So FDI is foreign direct investments, which is businesses, real assets, real businesses, foreign multinational companies coming in, and FPI is foreign portfolio investments. So FDI follows FPI, right? So what this FTSE hopeful reclassification does is it brings FPI back in, right? And then FDI will follow, right? So answer to Tunji, also just to my response to this is it's extremely positive for us. And another thing is the MSCI, which is the Morgan Stanley Composite Index, will normally follow the FTSE reclassification. And then the advice I'll leave with this is buy stocks today, because what will happen is when, especially your liquid stocks, right, your GT, your Zenith, your MTN, or just big liquid stocks, what will happen is
that's where the money is going to go.
Yeah, there are foreign investors that have to track the FTSE index and MSCI index. So once we get included into these indices, they actually have to buy stocks. They have to buy Nigerian stocks. But so when the flow comes in, if you come in early ahead of them, you can actually sell to them.
Yeah. But I don't know when they authored that report. But it would be interesting to know if they would have put us on the watch list if they knew that this 25% tax thing was going to pop?
So what they've said is they are going to give us an announcement in March, right? So maybe we can hear from them. But I mean, CGC is not anything new, right? In all honesty, CGC is not new. CGC is across different markets.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess, for us, the timing is terrible,
And something this market wasn't used to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just is it possibly just kicking against something that happens everywhere else, but it don't actually happen here.
Yeah, I guess what we're not used to. But again, for me, what I like about the leadership of our monetary policy is we're doing the simple things, right? And we're just doing simple things. A lot of times, and you don't see them trying to complicate decision making. You found that with the last leadership, they were just trying to do very adventurous stuff that was
Let's call it
necessary.
Torodox.
Yeah,
What?
Torodox.
CBN planted tomato.
Yeah.
I'm making
There was a
rice,
reason
bagging
behind that.
rice.
Taking,
Was the reason
May we
behind
not
that.
see that again?
Well,
though.
go on, please.
Honestly.
and I think
Honestly.
in leadership, you learn that just doing the simple things right
Yeah, works.
works. And
Yeah,
this
but my
a
point is that
testament
isn't this 25% CGT going to affect that eventually? So Shay, hold on. Let me read out
I think it will.
the scorecard. Hold on. Let me look at the scorecard. I'll start with the ones that we passed. According to them, former stock market regulatory authorities, active monitor market passed. Then they go on. They said no or selective incidents of foreign ownership restrictions. We passed there. Now, where did we fail? Developed foreign exchange market, not met. And then they go on. They say here, transaction cost, implicit and explicit cost to be reasonable and competitive.
that's where
Not passed. Now, tax, imposition of taxes
Oops.
to be reasonable and comparable between domestic and non-domestic investors. And the score is pass.
Oh, we passed?
But I don't know whether
I
that was before CGT or not.
but doesn't it mean that domestic investors get taxed the same as...
And so they're saying,
Yeah,
So,
so not- there's
so
no
it's
bias
fair.
around
there's
it.
no bias around
Yeah,
it.
so I think we'll pass that anyway, if that's the
so,
case.
so pass. And then they go on and said, develop derivative markets fail. That's obvious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whatever
I mean, we
derivatives-
do have a derivatives market. I've traded NGX futures through NG Clearing.
At our own level. Is it at their own level, your own level, Arnold level?
I traded where the market was giving me, and I've taken the long position and short position. It's not the most liquid.
Settlement, cost
We have a
associated with
derivative.
failed trades.
Yeah, derivative. Sorry,
They
what was
said
that?
we passed. Settlement, cost associated with failed trade pass.
Okay.
Central securities depository was a pass. And then
Yes, yes,
central
okay.
counterparty clearinghouse for equities fail. Settlement free derivatives, settlement free delivery available. It's a fail. Account structure operating at the custodian level for security and cash fail. So there were a few restrictions here and there. For example, stock lending permitted, they put restriction. Short sales permitted, they put restriction. And what else did they put restriction at? And then they said off exchange transactions permitted, restrictions. So if they know everything we know now about this capital against tax and its likely impact, are we going to feel that? I mean, I know it's a pass now. Are we really going to be included in that market?
I'm still very positive that will be changed. So that's why I'm not getting very paranoid or hysterical.
It's signed
around
into
it.
law. Like,
Yeah,
is there
but
going to be an amendment?
There might be an amendment because I think it would be the consequences will be very dire if that is the case. You'll find,
Or they probably
people-
suspend it.
It might be suspended. I very much believe that will be the case. That's why I'm still watching to see how that holds. It clearly wasn't well thought through.
Why?
Because I think the counter effects are
Just law for
actually-
taxes.
No. I don't know
that.
where this tax conversation came from. I didn't say. I don't. Anyway, the capital
So you were
gains.
pro tax, no, weren't you? 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
No.
So
So
I think it's type
my
of tax.
my biggest conversation around tax are two issues, and it just does speak to the fact that a lot of Nigerians don't seem to get the point. And I get it. I get it.
Wow. Are you looking into the camera and say it, or are you looking away from the camera?
I'm giving them
what's the
side
point?
eye.
What's the point? What's the point?
Bombastic side
Let us
eye.
get it.
So there are two things.
There you go.
One. You find that one of the reasons
I
why.
told you that you read it when you read your glasses.
Say,
Why did you take the glasses
I don't
off?
get sense.
Take the glasses off.
I only respond to my YouTube community. You see that Instagram? I don't.
But you were quite responsive though.
I was like, I leave them. So the thing is, there are two things, and it's critical. One is we really do not have the kind of money Nigerians think we have, in terms of liquid assets.
Sovereign, right?
Yeah,
As a sovereign.
as a sovereign. In terms of liquid assets, the problem is that, and the thing on the comment section you saw a lot was, oh, the president just bought a yacht, and I'm like, yeah. But you do get that we're talking country, not individual.
Well, how can you afford a yacht if you don't have money?
No, so when I say we don't have money, it's relative. I'm saying relative to the size and needs
Yeah,
of
no, I
Nigeria.
understand.
So if you were to take Nigeria's money and possibly take it to a Benin Republic or maybe even Ghana, for instance, they'll be balling, right? But to the needs of Nigeria, we don't have close to the money we think we have in terms of investment in infrastructure to be able to build our own road. So Nigeria, as of today, as of, say, we want to build one road now, one major road, or we want to build a bridge, we can't do it without going to borrow money. We can't, as in,
I mean,
we
but most
cannot.
countries borrow as well. Even the US
my
borrow. They're
point
like the
is-
largest.
Yes, we do. But I'm saying if the US wants to do it on their own coffers, they will. But it is
but it's
more
not efficient.
expedient. It's more expedient to borrow. I'm saying we don't have choice but to borrow. Because there's no money anywhere to go and collect it from. We are celebrating our foreign reserves. How much is it?
Over 40 billion.
That's reserves of some. You get my point. That's pittance.
But we're going to borrow now, right? Because I think Nigeria,
We have
next
to.
month, we
Point
are
being.
due $1 billion. The month after, €1 billion. So I know that the coordinating ministry are looking to raise about $4 billion to.
No, we must borrow.
that
Yeah, and that's even the next.
No, but the
topic.
second thing, so let me
President-
quickly say the second thing. The second thing is I believe that the more Nigerians, the one thing that disconnects Nigerians from Nigeria is the fact that a lot of the times we believe when we hear that somebody has stolen 20 billion, somehow, it's really not our money, right? It's you just hear it and we're like, hey, see these thieves, and we just
trying to get
move
your
on.
point in all of
No,
it.
my
What
point
exactly are you
is,
trying to
if
say?
now my money you thief, I will be more invested in this conversation than you've seen countries like France where corrupt officials are prosecuted. Everybody is involved. It's our issue.
Okay, so I think your points around the sense of ownership of the average Nigerian.
There's
in the
very
Nigerian story.
even you see it in elections, you see it in national issues, you see it in almost everything. We're very disconnected from the Nigerian story. I think
But that's probably because there's a feeling of there's nothing you can
apathy.
do about it.
Apathy,
No, there's no.
nothing you
If
can do
if you are
about it. So
really
But that-
invested in it, you will
that's
be.
a wrong mindset, though.
You
But
will.
what can I do about it, right? What can anyone really do about it? I mean,
What-
obviously we're going
what-
off topic, and
There's too
when
many
you think about it,
countries.
what
There
can
are too
anyone
many
really do
countries
about it?
across the world
I can
that are
answer
doing
that
things.
question. What you can do about it is by fixing your immediate environment. As simple as it is.
How
Because
so?
you're doing-
So I don't want to go into, but minister,
All right,
whatever.
let's go.
Minister, whatever it takes, whatever. How can I? So how can fixing my environment hold him accountable?
No, but first is holding your local government accountable. I think for a long time, the local government and the state government get to a blue model, and we all focus on the federal. And that's why I particularly like the new CBN policy around 75% of the non-TSA being allocated. I don't know if you guys caught up.
Yeah. So what does that do?
Because most of the state governments right now are circumventing the TSAs. So they are keeping their funds, most of their funds, in commercial banks. Now, we know there's about 1.4 trillion of states and local government funds that get spread across ever so often. And that money is never captured by the central bank. So what the central bank is saying now is that as a first line charge, you have 75% of that money being held in with the CBN. So now the state governors do not have that flexibility
To do whatever it
keep
was.
that money with
I
Zenith
see.
Bank or Fidelity and get a whatever percentage it is. What that helps us to do is to mop up the money in circulation, but also helps us with fiscal discipline. If you
I
had
didn't
more
think about it that way.
flexibility, you had more flexibility.
Okay.
If that money was with a commercial bank where you had relationship with the state government, but with the CBN, I imagine that there'll be more discipline around how you would allocate those funds. It won't be, changing that money with a local malam or whatever it is. It will be following it through, and I think that's a masterstroke. A lot of people are not monitoring that. Apart from the reduction in the reserve ratio or CRR for commercial banks, it is about this 75%.
So basically, from the deposits that banks collect from local government and state government, 75% of it will be
the allocation that is going to be going to state and local government.
Okay, that they tend to deposit with banks. 75% of it will be sequestered.
CBN, will be going to CBN, of course, for the benefit of the state government.
Isn't that also to address all these exchange rate issues? I mean, the CBN has always said that, look, once FAC allocation is gone,
Everybody buys dollars.
Just buys dollars.
Yeah, which
So
is what I think more difficult. But this is also
it will make it more difficult. It's still possible, but it's not going to be as straightforward as it used to be. And so I think that's really a brilliant idea.
Which is, I mean, I only always saw it as a liquidity thing, but looking at it from the accountability angle is actually very interesting. I didn't actually look at it.
All right, guys, talking about foreign investment, one of the biggest boys globally and a member of the board of BlackRock, Bayo Ogunlesi, was in Nigeria during the week. And it was during the week, and he spoke to the media, and of course was lauding a lot of the things that he's saying, macro-wise, and I guess the important thing that he said, I mean, to me though, was that they were looking at investing in Nigeria, FDI-wise, and that's what we've always looked out for. Is this just huffing and puffing, Seyi? Do you think he really means it?
Well, I like to believe that he does mean he's definitely a very serious investor. One of his comments that he made, which was very interesting, was that he has a port in Benin, and he was saying that he joked to the president, he apologized to the president for having
that's Benin Republic.
Benin Republic, and is looking to make similar investments in the energy space, in infrastructure. And I think, for me, it's signaling. Apart from having him, apart from the former UBA guy. Osage.
Osage.
Yeah. Having those guys come and show interest, there's a pull effect that has for other investors. These are local investors that are playing in the international space at a very top level. So for me, I'm particularly excited by that. Because I don't think he's a very serious investor. He won't come and off and puff, I don't think. And so for me, it's positive signaling, and it's positive around the direction that the economy is going.
Well, Seyi, you've been in this, I mean, FDI space for years by virtue of your experience. Do FDIs really want to come to Nigeria? I mean, like from what you've seen before, like what were the challenges they had and those issues they had before? Is it gone now?
I can tell you one of the most interesting stories I had with GE when we were trying to do the railway concession in Nigeria. That would have been a $2 billion investment in the country.
Wow.
It was a missed opportunity. You found that GE wanted to invest into our railways. It would have revolutionized our transportation infrastructure for how...
So you said you spoke to like 9 ministers?
We went through 9 ministers before we had a framework agreement. Imagine the frustration that would have happened over many years, over many administrations. But we eventually had a framework agreement under the Buhari administration. That deal failed because there was a lack of appreciation of what is required to get a deal of that size. Even though GE was prepared to bring in the investment, the leadership at the time, without mentioning names, didn't understand what you needed by credit enhancements, about payment security, about how if you were concerned about moving passenger along with haulage, you had to augment the difference in between what you'll have taken for me to run this through a commercial enterprise. I think you have more savvy. I want to believe that you have more people that appreciate what it takes to get a deal like that done. Again, this will have to be proven when this happens.
Anyway,
when that comes.
Yeah.
But it was very frustrating for me even being part of those transactions because it would have helped. Of course, there was also a silly concept that Nigeria is an investor haven. And I think as most times as Nigerians, we have a false false
Delusions of grandeur.
Yeah, big time.
As in,
you were saying to major investors that if you miss opportunity in Nigeria, there's nowhere else to go to. It was crazy. Like,
Ghana is right next door.
I wonder. So what was the investor? I mean, I wonder what the countenance of the investor was like when he's saying.
They thought we were crazy. They thought we were crazy. Like they thought, the leadership.
It's $2 billion opportunity.
That they said if you how can G walk away from this opportunity?
Wow.
Yeah, of course, G would walk because this is a company that is playing in hundreds of
Nigeria is like 0.01% of their time.
No,
right.
So again, they even moved away from that market.
To think we've not seen $1 billion in FDI in years.
That would have been revolutionary.
Oh wow!
And this thing is
so. To your point, sorry, just to wrap up on this, I hope whether this closes now, we never know. Concerns around the closeness to an election cycle. You only have 2 years left, maybe 1 year, because electioneering comes in afterwards. Whether you would have the focus of people to be able to get deals at that scale done.
But Chinese are doing these things, aren't they? So why are the Chinese doing this and then Tunji's people are not? Tunji's friends are not?
Well, the way the Chinese do it in very interesting ways.
There's more than money as returns. The Chinese have multiple areas where they want returns from. So
and they are strategic, right? They are trying to capture. If you think about Angola, there are some countries where they own the ports in those countries because, again, they are thinking about global dominance, trying to wrestle away from the West.
Economic dominance,
And so it's about, I will throw money at you, give me the right security framework. You can't pay, give me your ports. You can't pay, give me your airports. And so they do it for different reasons, right? I think the US and the West are more economically driven around how they would.
There's someone who has been on Drinks and Mics. He told me this story a long time ago about trying to work with Lagos State on the rail project. The blue rail, the red rail. This was years before. This was maybe this conversation was like maybe 2015, 16 or something like that. And he was telling me about how they were ready because he was part of a bank, big bank. Let me just say it that way. And they were ready to put down the capital or at least help raise significant part of the capital as the lead investor for that project. And he just kept going, these guys are just not serious. They don't get what it takes to build this kind of a project, even just to the simple full costing of the project, to be able to project year on year that, okay, these are the variables year one, these are the variables year two, that they couldn't even really get that. So they basically walked away from that project. And I'm thinking how many of such projects have we missed over the years? Have happened over the last 10 years. And a lot of it has happened because, a lot of the times Nigerians believe the people who were talking to you that, how dare you? Yeah. This is Nigeria, the giant of Africa. If you don't do it here, where will you do it? Then you now see some new rail happen in Kenya. Where you see one new infrastructure pop up in Ghana. Everywhere is just building up. And then
but if I may, I think that I don't know how freely I can speak, but I mean, Black Rock was good. That I was having conversations with a week before Bayo came. So when I saw that announcement, even the fact that there was interest, I'm not sure if you remember, I spoke about visiting a lot of manufacturing.
Yeah, you did say that.
So I'm, working on a couple of products that will be interesting to Africa allocators. That has to do with funding projects, and they are one of the people I reached out to, and they were very, very receptive. And then imagine talking to them, and the next day I get an Instagram. I see an Nairametrics post about Bayo being in the country. So I think they're actually, he might be very serious.
All right. By the way, the president says he wants $23 billion. I mean, it's not the first time we've heard this, but I think it's serious. 2.3, I beg your pardon.
Sorry. I want 23.
I know there was a 23. There was a 23 plan anyway. Yeah. But $2.3 billion, and part of it is refinancing. And there's some backlash around that though, aren't she? I don't know what you
Borrowing money when we have money. There's
why are we refinancing that?
There are reasons why. It appears that there's a bit more stability in the FX in the international market, such that you may get better financing terms going to the market today. Also, the positive effect of the reforms that happen in the market can translate into good pricing for the market. But there's no problem with borrowing if you can adequately utilize it. My understanding of the use of funds this time is to meet our euro and bond obligations as a sovereign. And so if that's it, I personally have no objection to doing that. But again, I understand the public outcry because people will feel like, most times when governments borrow money, it's to be able to,
to spend. An election is coming as well. People are worrying whether these things are tied
But
in.
in this case, it looks more straightforward than not in terms of the obligations that are due. Like I said, we have a $1 billion obligation due next month. The following month, €1 billion. So those are clear obligations that we'll need to settle. And if you have built your foreign reserves from 25 billion in maybe less than 2 years ago to over 40 billion today, and there's a market to leverage, I would say let's explore that. That's my personal view on that.
My own problem with that 40 billion is that I know how quickly that 40 billion can go.
Tunji, sorry to cut you.
I hate to sound like a pessimist.
There's something that I. So I was watching the finance minister yesterday at this National Economic Summit. I don't know how you watch that stuff. It's on YouTube, and he was talking about billions of naira that is accruable to the FG that is outside of the TSA and sitting with different MDAs. The reason why I'm pointing this to you is these are some of the things people are saying. Like you're saying, you know what, there's no money, tax more, government doesn't have money, and blah, but there are obvious leakages that exist.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you have a finance minister, and these things, when they say these things subtly, it means that there's a whole lot of stuff going down. Like they must have complained a lot. So and the info I got as well is that look, there's a whole lot of money. Some with NNPCs, some with different government parastatals that is not getting to the top, right? And with that money not getting to the top, you can't fund capital projects. And so why not go for that money? Why are you going for a loan? Why can't you just call these parastatals and tell them, you know what, release the damn money? Like, why is it so difficult?
So what is it? Sorry.
Imagine the CEO of the company.
Is it that the funds have no use? It's just stuck in this account?
So typically, TSA means funds that all MDAs should be swept to that account, right? So that it can be properly allocated. Okay. However, what we're seeing is that a lot of those funds are still trapped with those MDAs, so they don't sweep everything to the CS. And then the Minister of Finance, not just Minister of Finance, coordinating Minister of Finance.
So they're
is
trying
now
to
coming out
solve
and
for
saying,
that.
we still have a lot of money out there. So that means there are leakages.
So I agree.
So why can't they plug those leakages?
Then plug it. There's no question.
Is it by
plug
words?
It. Do it. Plug it. Do. So here's the thing I want to say. This is the beginning conversation. Nigeria's budget consistently has been about 30 billion every year for the last, say, maybe 10, 15 years.
Okay.
Right? I don't think there's a time we've actually raised 30 billion in that year. Because we borrow revenue-wise.
Yeah.
Now, let's just imagine it's 30 billion, right? 30 billion year on year. Let's just imagine that Nigeria, every year, as year ends, we scrap. We pack another 30 billion the next year and come and give it to Nigeria. For our infrastructure build needs, for our developmental needs, then for overheads and everything Nigeria needs to do, let's just imagine that it was properly allocated. $30 billion to be able to fix Nigeria in the way Nigeria is, in terms of the way we are behind in terms of infrastructure. Do we think we can achieve? note that I'm saying that we come and give you the 30 billion. You don't have to work for it. Do you think it's enough? Now, picture this conversation with the fact that you now have to earn this 30 billion. A lot of the times you fall significantly short of raising this 30 billion.
What's your point?
And you have to grow it. So I'm saying that, yes, there is money leakages, right?
Well, it'll take a while.
But I'm saying that the money we even have, as in if you combine everything, Kotito,
It doesn't matter. I mean, I don't understand. Like, it doesn't matter.
So I think you can do the two things
together.
at the same time.
Go
you can
and
work
chase
and chew
that
gum at the
thing.
same time.
So what I'm saying is
Fine,
like
but the
two of
point
them.
is-
It doesn't mean that because there are leakages. It means that there's money.
So how do you know that? How do you know that
You
the
can be
so-called
poor
tax?
and be leaking
Wait
money.
now, how do you know that exactly? So how do you know that the so-called taxes
Yes.
that you're going to collect is not going to get leaked?
Oh,
like, how do you know?
It will, man.
I do. I
How do you
I
know?
said it on this
It
show
will.
that I guarantee it to be leaked. My point, and this is what people don't get what I'm saying. My point has always been, we don't have time. I remember when Nigeria was, even in our delusion of grandeur, giant of Africa, it seemed like it was true, right? And we felt it was true, right? Now it's only in the club that we are giant of Africa. Everywhere else,
So
everywhere else.
Let me be fair.
And if so look at 10 years ago, look at the way Nigeria was in the grand scheme of Africa. Give it another 10 years in the same trajectory. We don't have time.
I agree.
We need to fix this thing now. And me, I'm saying, guys, anything that it requires to fix Nigeria now, let's gather it and fix. When we fixed it, all these things that we're talking about, all these leakages, we will fix. That one will fix those ones as it goes. But we need to fix Nigeria now because the money, if we say we want to prudence our way out of Nigeria, time
Allow me to play devil's advocate, right?
Democrats.
What if we raise and it still gets leaked?
That's what I just asked.
Yeah, so
Anyway, guys, we're going to be back in a bit. Just 1 minute and we're back.
Explain yourself. How did you change this?
oh my God.
Explain yourself.
Oh, wow. Home video magic.
Willy.
Ugo Dre had
Wear white as well.
Ugo Dre had to run. He's trying to catch a flight. Otunba is in the building. Otunba has been really upset with what I've been saying since. So he's joining. He's joining. But before we leave this topic, I am just saying that I get the fact that Nigeria has leakages. I get the fact that Nigeria has corrupt politicians. My issue with those two statements is that it is true across the world. It is not unique to Nigeria. Even in the US, there are corrupt politicians, there are leakages. In the UK, it is the same thing. In Nigeria, it will not be different. I am just saying that while we are still focused on those things, let's fix Nigeria first. All those things will still, when we are fixed, it will still be with us, whether you like it or not. But, I welcome Otunba to.
Thank you for throwing me onto the deep end.
Oh my God.
I'll try and catch up.
Okay, so I think we're going to talk about how to grow jobs, basically, looking at the jobs numbers and synonymous with the fact that there's been new CBN regulation around POS terminals. So on one side, POS terminals have done significantly well in, the agency network has built some sort of infrastructure around, creating jobs, having more people employed, making them agents, making them being able to create their own economy in that space. But it does look like this regulation, and a lot of people have kicked back against it, saying it might stifle growth around the agency banking space. But two significant things in the regulation. One is that daily transactions have been capped at 1.2 million naira, and then there's going to be geolocation of POS terminals. So if the POS terminal was geolocated to Agege, if it moves to Ipaja, it will stop working. That means you can move, from place to place. Arnold will not know much about this.
I feel like you just read my mind. You just read. I was thinking to myself, what is he talking about?
Arnold is too coy
because
for
the thing
this.
is, I hear that there's a lot of fraud going to POS, and I'm thinking, hold on a minute. Don't you have to register the POS to get the POS? How's the fraud? Can't the bank see the fraud
Arnold
coming
is
in?
not street
So
out.
I'm like, so whenever I hear this fraud, I'm like, fraud in what way? Because this is something that's supposed to be a registered device. The bank should see flows coming in.
No, you know,
It's the last thing you'd want to do if you want to launder money is to go. I don't know. So maybe someone can educate me on how fraud is.
Otunba and I have been going back and forth on this since yesterday. So first of all, the question is this move in the right direction for the sector and then job growth?
I think there are two things. I've spoken to a few operators, and the indication or the direction is that the policy direction is one that was actually crafted by the operators. So who are the forefront of these things? You have the OPay, the money points. They were at the forefront of driving that initiative. If you're very familiar with that space, the amount of fraud
That happens
in that POS space.
You're still worried.
Is
So how
alarming.
does fraud? Yeah, like how,
Let me give you one example. So
Like you're teaching me how
if
to
you
do
go
it. So walk me through.
if you go to a filling station now
Yeah.
and use your card, now you might imagine that your card will fail.
Yeah.
You imagine your card failed, and then you get debited.
Yeah.
So what do? You ask for a chargeback.
Yeah.
Right?
Or it just comes back automatically sometimes.
Yes, usually it comes back,
Yeah.
right? What we've seen in certain situations is some of these things have happened. What tends to happen is that, okay, let's assume you use a POS here. There's a bank in between, right, that would refund that money. So maybe you use GTB, are calling the money back. If you don't go and ask the owner of the POS to say, these are the disputed transactions, right, that we've received. But because we received automatic chargeback, the bank would just
Send it back.
send those monies back.
Sorry, say it again. So you have the POS, I pay with my card.
So
It
you have a
doesn't go
POS.
through-
Imagine you have a POS with Bank A,
Yeah.
right? You use a POS,
card with-
Yeah.
a card from a bank. You have a POS,
Yeah.
right? You put your card in there. You put your charge for 5,000 naira. You get debited. But alerts did not get to the payment. Didn't get to the other side.
Yeah.
So what do? You actually claim
Yeah.
for a chargeback. But actually, in the real sense is the money actually went. Right? Somebody would then go on the back end and say, Arnold is asking for a chargeback, or you paid for. Let me
I understand
You
the
asked for this bottle.
Yeah.
You paid for it with the card. The transaction actually went through. But then you then go and say, that transaction didn't go through. I want a chargeback.
Yeah.
The bank, instead of going back to
Ask if it is
ask,
true.
is this transaction
Bank will just
valid or
debit
not?
and
They will
refund.
just send
Send the
Arnold
money back.
back to Arnold. Now that
So
money
where's
is
the
gone.
fraud? Is the fraud that I've
So
been
when
charged, but I've told the bank I haven't been charged?
So you've basically gotten money back twice. So you pay for these assets for
But
5,000.
How many of those
Because-
transactions can you do?
Oh my
Trust
God!
me,
there was
bro.
there's a story of one guy that is on the run for 4 billion.
So they
Wait, wait.
There's a lot. It adds up.
There's a guy that's on
the
the, run for
biggest, the
4
biggest
billion.
one now is the WhatsApp one. The WhatsApp, all those WhatsApp frauds.
Yeah.
Where they'll ask you, whatever, send payments. You do it on WhatsApp. Once the money goes, it's gone. So there's massive fraud.
So there's a chargeback part, and there's also the part where all kinds of money mules. I'm doing something fraudulent, and I say, okay, pay money into this account, and I go to the POS guy. I'm trying to get money. The person will pay into your account, so you give me the cash. But the person doesn't realize that this account they are paying to is not my account. It's I'm standing by a POS person. You send the money, I collect, I move. Police comes. You bring police to catch this person.
Start again. No, you lost me.
Arnold, you're really not street, honestly. So, I'm a fraudulent guy.
Yeah.
I'm doing some sort of thing. I want to, rip him off of some cash.
Yeah.
Right. So I tell him he needs to pay me. Right. And when he's trying to pay me, and it could be something mischievous. It could be that I kidnapped somebody or I did something. Then I come to this establishment that has a POS, and I
yeah.
say, oh, somebody's about to send me 10 million naira
Okay.
on the POS.
Yeah.
Give me your number. Then I collect the number I send to you. You pay the money into the 10 million naira. I collect my 10 million naira and I skip.
Uh-huh.
You know, you've collected your charges. You are really happy about the fact that you've been able to do 10 million naira.
But it's a
You get, so there's so many things that
Okay.
they're the ones
Then the
where
police come after him.
you get, so it's all kinds of things.
Understand.
And you know,
Okay, yeah.
there's been the thought that okay, there's a KYC system attached to it,
Mm-hmm.
but we do know that there's a black market for BVNs in Nigeria, which is ridiculous.
So really, once maybe the money gets to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
You then realize, obviously, you're doing reconciliation and realize these are fraudulent transactions, and you realize, oh, money has gone to Tunji. Before you claim back that money, you try to put a lien
On
on
Tunji's
Tunji's
account.
account.
Clear
The
his
money
account,
the money has been cleared.
Has moved.
So you can wake up one day and realize that there's a 400 million. And I think they also, the thing is, these guys also test your system. So they test your system for vulnerabilities. So they test 10 million, 20 million. So they can, okay, and they don't do and come and take 500 million. They will take 10, 20 million every day, maybe for like 40 days. Now, if your tech is not one
Able
of
to-
those
yeah.
able to verify all of these things, you just wake up one day and realize that there's a 500 million naira hole or billions
Yeah.
that have moved out of your system.
I can even tell you the one that happened to us when we were first testing a wallet system, very early days at our bar. And me, you know, as startup founder now, you're never sleeping, you know. So at around 2 a.m. or so, I first just saw, you know, dashboard now, just saw 150 naira, you know. And the 50 naira kept going. I was like,
Small amounts.
just 50 naira. I was like thinking, then it went through 150. I was like,
So they were testing the
they were
vulnerabilities.
testing. I just shut everything down. I said, let's start again.
Yeah.
So yeah, the system is big. So I think, I think, however, the challenge I've heard from the operators angle is the fact that there is a part to be played in terms of how the implementation is done. I think they are not averse to the fact that this should be done because of the fraud conversation, but it's the how. And I think
But
the
I think the
CBN
important thing there is, first of all, they've capped, the payments at 1.2 million,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's one. Number two is that, we can also differentiate between agents and merchants.
Yeah.
Right. So for the agents are the guys who do the cash in, cash out, right? So you can do a maximum of 1.2. Now the thing is, going forward, an agent can only maybe take POS from OPay or from MoneyPoint or from Flutterwave
that'd
or
be
from
cool.
whatever. You can't take POS from MoneyPoint, OPay, which is what a lot of them do. You just go to an agent, you say they have
four,
like
five.
4. Now, as an agent, if you're signed up with MoneyPoint as an example, you can decide to have 10 POSs. And those 10 POSs can be in 10 different locations. Now, in those locations, they've also then said, we'll geotag.
Geolocate, yes.
So essentially, if you have a POS that
Geotag,
is
yeah.
tied to Felele and you decide to move it to Bodija, it will stop working. Right. So again, it's all just a move to drive to curb fraud.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the players in the space are the ones sort of driving or pushing for that initiative to happen to reduce the losses that are caused.
You know, there was this conversation recently where we're supposed to be in the same place with the CBN governor, and one of the questions on my mind was really what he feels fintech plays in the evolution and growth of Nigeria. And I was going to ask you that question. We're seeing this and unfortunately the person that believes in this $1 trillion economy is not here. There is a charge to a $1 trillion economy, and then we've seen companies like Flutterwave, Paystack, Seamless HR, some really good technology companies spring out of Nigeria, which have become very useful to our economy. How do you think they play a role in that growth towards that $1 trillion economy, especially when none of them is providing core infrastructure?
No, interestingly, and that was one of the topical points on the sidelines of Onga a few years ago. So I was there, and one of the major points was the role innovators and African youths and fintech will play in the industrialization of Africa as a continent. And we had, a few showcase of a few of our innovators, but I think the role of innovation, that and the role it will play in healthcare and the way it will play in lifestyle becomes very important because the scale of which our people are, the number of people you have across Africa and the need to scale, you would have to rely on fintechs to come up with innovative solutions like that can help you scale the solutions that you find. And I think that was one of the things that one main takeaways around.
Can I challenge that?
Yeah.
Do we not have too many fintechs?
Do we have real fintechs or just people who call themselves fintechs? Because everybody says
I will not take this. What does that mean?
No, because in my mind, again, what solutions are you solving? You just find everybody who has an idea come up and say,
Just add tech to it.
and add tech to it and say, I'm edutech, infotech.
No, I'm actually saying I'm saying more on the payment space. That is that space not even crowded?
I don't know that. Well, I don't know.
Well, some of the frontliners were not there from the beginning, were they? Some of the frontliners today were not there at the inception.
And also, you also have to think about not just for a Nigeria solution. So even if you have a tech platform, you can't only think Nigeria. So again, I say MoneyPoint is expanding to the United Kingdom, for example. So I don't think that there's enough. But again, like you find with every idea, a lot of those ideas will fall away. And then it's only the real ones
that will stay.
So you will find a lot of noise around it, which is what I think we have to do.
What you have now is you have a lot of people now. There's a lot of everyone playing into that sort of that repatriation space, right?
So many.
Right? No, I mean, if you look at the number of players before now, repatriation is now like the new sort of beautiful bride. But what would happen is that because when there's so much competition, you then drive down pricing, and then it becomes unlucrative, and people move on to the next, to the next thing.
Right? POS used to be the thing.
And again, I think it's going to be welcome now is to who can scale at the right level, because again, it's how many what's your penetration numbers that will drive your sustainability strategy.
So I find that there are repatriation UK, US, UK, Nigeria, US, Nigeria, Canada, Nigeria, but cross-country Pan-African.
You're just saying
and that's what makes you feel sometimes that.
Isn't it more difficult? Isn't that what?
But that's the problem that we should be solving.
But that's the problem we need to be solving. So isn't that what
Pops is trying to
what
do?
you find is just people want to send money from America to Lagos, Canada to Lagos, London to Lagos, Europe to Lagos. No one's telling me how can I move money from Lagos to Ghana, Lagos to Abidjan, Lagos to Rand.
You're absolutely right. And I think that is going to be the success of how Africa survives otherwise. Our African cooperation, Africa partnership integration becomes very important because I don't think we'll be able to compete against Chinese solutions or fintechs starting out of the US. Very few African-based
and this is why sometimes I feel like we need to be more ambitious in Nigeria, right? That's why I respect people like Arnold Ekpe and what he did with EcoBank, where he took EcoBank from 2-3 countries to over 40 countries across continents. I think that when we start developing businesses, we start developing solutions, we start developing services, we should need to start looking and thinking Pan-African solutions, Pan-African 100%. Payments, cross-border payments.
Cross-border payments.
Let's not push any straight bullets there, but we'll leave it.
I was going for it. But I think generally the fintech story is one of success. The ones that stand out have stood out because they did something very different. I don't think we have enough. I think we still need a few more who will open new sectors. There are still spaces to be filled there, but I get the fact that. But let's go back to jobs. How are we creating jobs? Because the truth about it is that there's an economic theory. I'm sorry, it's called Okun's law. It's one that ties employment numbers to GDP growth. So generally what Okun's law says is that if job numbers increase, GDP increases. It's tied to one another. If unemployment increases, GDP kind of shrinks. if we want to be able to hit that $1 trillion economy, we need to be able to grow jobs. Where will the jobs come from? Is it manufacturing? We do not have enough of that. Is it farming? We have a lot of subsistence farming. We need more mechanized farming, and that means we won't need as much labor intensity as we want to create. Where exactly are we going to put the jobs? Do we want to build factories like China? Do we want to do car manufacturing like the Asian tigers? Where exactly are we going to plant all these Nigerians that need jobs? We have about conservative estimate, about 20 million people unemployed in the labor force as of today. Where are we going to plug them into?
It's a fair question. I think where you would find that opportunity is if we are able to crack this non-oil industrialization growth of some sort, because in that value chain would be the farming, the processing, and the industrialization of that non-oil sector.
But don't we need to train these people too to be able to do these things?
But that would happen by nature and cause effect, because you would have to get people to train them in those regards. Because if you look at creatives, would also be another part, because when you find people idle, they will have to come up with ways for them to generate funds. But again, I think if you think about organized jobs, I think the opportunity that exists is if we're able to unlock that non-oil, and I have a lot of faith. I know that market grew 20%, and I think by the end of this year, I think that should double if the government starts to think about or actualize some of the innovative things they are thinking about. Because I think that 20% growth happened with very little effort, in my view. And as you try to put more funds to back the scaling of the players, because I think the problem this sector has is that you don't have enough market players that are placing at scale.
Where would they come from? When I keep saying that we should go and find money and support Nigeria, everybody thinks Tunji is just some guy that's on a crazy
not
bill.
just finding money, but the country supporting. But again, if you think about a company like GE, and for GE to have done as well as it did, is because US Exim was backing GE out of US. They supported them in planting plants outside of the US market. When customers requires GE equipment, Exim will provide financing for you to be able to have access to that. When GE goes into a new country, you have country to company to country agreements that the Home Office, the US Home Office, is also helping you. And I think, but
what's the Nigerian version of US Exim?
We have Nexim.
No, Nexim.
Okay.
Nexim. But I think beyond Nexim, I think there are...
Is Nexim doing that?
Yeah, but I mean, they support some exports, import businesses. They fund.
And there are conversations about recapitalizing Nexim to be able to do more. But beyond that, I think I'm privy to some conversations around the administration also putting some more thoughts, because it's not just about funding. There's capacity building that's required. There's the government supporting these companies to do well. When they want to go to Ghana, would you be able to help them put a call through with the Nigerian Home Office in Ghana, help them with facilitating profiles that are required. And I think except with supports, our companies in the agro-allied spaces, you cannot scale at the right levels. The same way we supported Dangote, to some extent, or to a large extent, not some extent.
I will not go there again.
To a large extent.
It's opened old wounds.
But Otunba, where do you see the jobs coming from? Where do you see? Because we need to absorb, let's say 20 million people. Where are we going to put them into? Let's forget about the training first of all. But where are 20 million people going to be plugged into?
I think we need to decentralize.
What do you mean?
Everybody wants to be in Lagos.
Okay.
What would make Ibadan, Ekiti, Ondo attractive for me to live? Right? Because if you do create things in those environments where people can actually earn a decent wage, they can eat 3 square meals, they can get good housing, there's no reason why we're all in Lagos. Lagos where, it rains and the whole place is flooded. Right? We, at least we can reduce the we can reduce the pressure on the infrastructure. But we need to think about how to decentralize markets and move markets to other places, or have regions where certain things become, a key viable. And then, so again, we're putting a lot of these things on, federal government.
Correct.
We need to ask questions of our state governors. We need to ask questions of our local governors. If you ask most people, who's your local government chairman, they don't know. We need to start asking more. And until we start holding these people accountable, I don't think we're going to get too far.
The point around centralization is a very interesting point. And I think we missed an opportunity with our tax reforms that we just did. Right now, the company income tax is being earned at the federal. There is no incentive for state government, for subnationals, to incentivize companies to come into their
zones.
spaces, because if you do, all the taxes are going to the national, to the federal port. If you had done something as revolutionary as change that up a little bit, even though I know the political ramification of that is completely different. But if you had done that, it gives states more incentives to be innovative around attracting companies. Right now, the only upside for a state to bring in companies is through personal income tax, which is nothing compared to where the real juice is.
On a small segue, I hate to be the one to share this, and it was not me that shared it, it was Otunba that shared it. In 2024, Onlyfans paid out $5.8 billion to creators.
There you go. So when we talk about the same platform across the continent, imagine what it can do.
I now understand why LinkedIn will consider.
It's an investment.
This is what they paid out.
It's an investment.
Not the profit. The profit.
This is what they paid out.
600 million.
So
it's a reflection of society, which is another conversation.
But that's why I struggle with thinking, would that have worked in Africa though?
I want to say it works. I really don't know, but I do know that is.
Because
I realize that I've got so much passion talking about
moral
this.
compass.
No, but it works because there is a platform in Nigeria. I don't know what the payout is.
What the adoption rate is.
I know what it is, but I don't see why it won't work. I don't see why it won't work.
It should work because I don't know much about it. I would like to learn.
Yeah, I mean, listen. If anyone knows and there's a fundraising round,
please,
it's an opportunity. Man.
They have raised funds.
There you go.
Yeah,
I didn't know so much about this stuff.
No, I think it's some news.
Forget what it stands for. Right? Is whether or not we like it, there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. The oldest career or oldest job on this earth is prostitution.
Wow.
We
move on to the next.
that hit me left side. But honestly, I think that there's the critical conversation is there's no place to absorb unemployed Nigerians except we heavily invest in building infrastructure, heavily invest in raising capital to fund production. Yes, business people want to produce, but business people need money. If all of us go to the foreign market to try and get capital, it's very difficult. It's a different issue if the Nigerian government goes to raise the capital, brings it in, puts it on the table and says, what do you need? Oh, you need this, you need that. And then is able to do that. I just think that's the way to go. So a lot of the times we need more money than we think. So we're going straight to buy, sell, hold. All right, buy, sell, hold. Let's start with it. Jamie Dimon will eventually be right. You know why I don't like Jamie Dimon? It's not I don't like him. There's a Nigerian version of him.
Who's that?
I would not say.
Please name.
No, not say.
You have to. Come on.
Yeah,
no,
you have to. Give us a hint.
There's a Nigerian version of him.
What's the first letter of his first name?
This person does this where he'll say something like, "We are clear as a he, right?" He'll say something like, "Oh, the Nigerian GDP is going to grow by 3.4% in Q4." And he's saying this in Q2. By Q4, we've all forgotten. And that estimate always falls short.
Who is this? Does his first name start with a...
Anyway, you will have not answered, and you've not answered. So, will he eventually be right on this recession claims for the US? Ultimate buy, sell, hold.
I think we are headed. I think we're headed to a weaker dollar. I think there's going to be massive reversal of capital to frontier markets, which is probably already happening. Does that translate to a recession? I think best case, no. I think worst case, I think there's a huge likelihood that there is a massive slowdown in the US.
By a recession?
Recession, so we haven't started seeing the numbers from the tariff, the impact of the tariff on the economy. And I'm saying, I spoke to a friend the other day complaining about going to buy a pack of tissue and spending, $20, right? Or going to the store and spending $500 and you cannot account for what you've bought, groceries. And I think that just reminds me of the Nigerian story, right? So they are potentially going through that same curve where the people are going to, actually, you know what? I think, yes. I think a recession was, what you're seeing happening in the US is something that we've lived through, and we know what that meant. So I do think that's a
2026, a recession.
Potential.
Okay. Arnold?
Okay, so I'm a hold. I think that he has a point, but I just don't know. It can go either way. If you think about why he's talking about a recession is because of inflation, maybe a bit too sticky, and then the debts is an issue. And then with all the political jargon or political issues going on. So I think that he definitely has a point. So I'm a hold because, yes, you're seeing it. At the start of this year, I was talking about the US going to a stagflation, which is sticky inflation and no growth, a recession. And I think this stagflation could then lead to a recession. So I'm a hold that is a possibility.
So, by the way, I didn't explain buy, sell, hold, but you get buy, sell, hold.
I think I do from the responses that
So buy is you agree, sell is you don't agree, hold is that you're neutral.
Yeah.
There are gray areas, but
No, I think I'm sell. I don't think there's a chance that happens. One, I think we will find that the effects of the tariff will be positive to the US market.
We have another MAGA in the house.
The net effect.
Wow.
The net effect we'll find. Again, that's my sense. But I don't think, even if I agree with that about the projection of a weaker dollar, but I don't think we'll get to a point of.
I think what you'd find in the US is that there's going to be a massive. What's happening in Nigeria? There's going to be a massive destruction of the middle class. Right? Where the rich is going to get richer, and then more people are going to fall
into poverty.
And that is what's going to happen in the US.
I don't disagree, but if it's recession next year, I don't see a chance of that happening next year.
Yeah, I'm sell.
So for me, right? So there's a risk that so dollar's weakened about 10%. Although which way do I start? So dollar's weakened 10% this year. Although this weakness is even slowing down, which is a bit concerning to anyone that has a weaker dollar
outlook.
But if you think that dollar's weakened, a weaker dollar would generally mean that inflation.
Yeah.
Right. So weaker dollar will cause inflation plus import tariffs as well.
Yeah.
So I think that the likelihood
job numbers.
plus bad job numbers. I think there's a likelihood of there's
a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. So we're saying that the US GDP will be negative first quarter.
So the question we also
negative second quarter.
Question we also have to ask is that would you even believe the numbers? Maybe we'll start having some MBS type.
No, MBS. I stand with the integrity of the MBS. They are forever. Anyways, moving on. So we are looking at we've seen conversations around foreign investors coming in with Bayo, Ogunlesi and the likes. Do we think this is finally the beginning of what was that thing that happened in Ghana? The year of what was it?
Return.
Yeah, it was
I like
return.
that.
Is this
the return?
Is this the return? Is this the return of FDI to Nigeria? Buy, sell, hold.
With the new, I've been very vocal about this. If the CGT initiative goes forward, I think it's a massive own goal for Nigeria. First of all, actually, you know what? CGT in Nigeria is actually 10%, but it was never implemented. I don't think anyone has paid as we haven't. It wasn't implemented, right? So for a case where you had 10% CGT in the law where it wasn't implemented, and then we wake up and we just move it to 30 without actually knowing what the impact of the 10 is, right? I think it's a massive own goal, right? It's really sad that, the capital market operators who I believe also were sitting on the committee, the tax reform committee, these things were tabled and they allowed this slip away. It just almost means that, the question was, what were they really doing on the committee anyways in the first place if you're not going to have adequate impact. But I think that in terms of just sort of how does that feed into, so first of all, is FDI will come only after FPI comes, right? We talked about this last week. The only source of dollars into this country is through OMOs, right? The moment CGT kicks in, and everyone is talking about potentially selling their position, what you have is that we'll potentially see more pressure on the Naira, right? I mean, I wake up to calls now from international investors who are asking, is this thing actually going to go through? As in, do we expect CGT to kick in January 2026? So clearly they're thinking about it. Okay. One of the things I'm going to be looking forward to in the next few weeks, and I'm going to download that data, is I'm going to see how stocks that are dual listed in Nigeria. So things like, we're going to look at GTB, Airtel, GTB, Airtel, and Seplat. Those are 3 stocks you can play with.
That's how you get out.
Huh?
That's how you get out.
Yeah, that's
how you don't pay tax.
So I want to see what would happen with the share price of these two of these companies. So I will give a 4-week period and then do the analysis, see what the Naira performance is versus the performance of these stocks on the US, on the London Stock Exchange, and see what, if the market is actually showing that arbitrage. Because what I expect to see is that a lot of investors are going to potentially dump the Nigeria leg and say, I'll go and play GT Bank on the London leg. Or I'll go and play Seplat on the London leg. I'll go and play Airtel on the London leg.
Those stocks,
right? So you're definitely going to see a reaction. 30% is the absolute, probably is the highest in the world. It's an insane recommendation.
Arnold, buy, sell, hold.
Buy, sell, hold.
Is this a year of the return for capital?
Yeah, so I think 2026 is potentially the year of the return. Definitely. I've always thought it. I do think the CGT is a concern. Yeah, it affects us. But I mean, after Ugo Dre read the requirements and the tax doesn't necessarily play against us from that perspective. I think once we get included with the FTSE and the MSCI, there are index tracker funds that have no choice but to actually get involved. The frontier guys, they will get involved. The other guys who are hedge fundy, exotic guys, it might discourage them. So maybe it won't be as positive without the tax as it will be with the tax. But Adele's mentioned something that could be interesting for some guys, which is I actually see, I know you're seeing it as an alternative, right? So instead of buying GT here, you buy GT in London or Seplat here. It's actually an exit, right? So what you do is you make your money with Zenith, you buy Seplat, and then you get out. Not pay tax. Because remember, if you sell GT and buy Seplat, you don't pay tax. So what you do is you sell GT, you buy Seplat, and then you move it to London and sell Seplat, and then you got your money out. So that's just going to be another way.
I don't know why
that makes it complicated. Yeah, ways to avoid tax. I'm sure I'm going to get in trouble with that.
What do you think?
I'm tired.
Buy, sell, hold.
I'm positive. I think we are.
Yeah, the return.
I think there is. I think it is. I think there is enough fiscal and monetary signaling to suggest that there's more investor confidence in the country and the direction of the country.
There better be. I'm saying just.
I think I've always said Nigeria is like a patient. We've been sick for 9 years, right? And we started administering medication, and the patient is beginning to wake up and stand and walk. And then guess what? you give the guy a body jab, and you're expecting, that is the case, right? We need a stronger recovery. We need a stronger reserves. We're talking about 60, 70 billion of reserves, and we're talking about CGT. I wouldn't be making noise, right? But again, even first of all, even the number is ridiculous at 30%. It's outrageous.
Yeah, it's high.
Right? There's no, if I was going to even move my ground, I'll see 5%. Let's not 5%. Let's even see how the market reacts. But frankly, at where we are right now, I feel like it just needs to be at zero. There needs to be an executive order that should come from the table of the president to suspend that law for now until such a time where we feel like we are ready. And that would mean that, we're headed back to the FTSE, we're headed back to the MSCI index, JP Morgan index is back. And there's just some level of vibrancy. We're not there yet. I think we're celebrating, or we're getting too comfortable. We're getting too comfortable with a fragile recovery.
All right. So, do we think? I think buy sell hold. The next one before the last one. The buy sell hold. Are we?
What do you think? What's your buy sell hold
for
capital gains? For the return, the year of the return. Buyish sell. Sellish. Sellish hold.
I ain't to the hold.
I am sellish hold. I am sellish hold. Actually, I'm sellish hold. Sellish hold in terms of the fact that I don't think I'm seeing enough signaling from the Nigerian side, because what I'm hearing is because I mean, on any SSA analysis, there's no how you ignore Nigeria. From any foreign perspective, where you're doing analysis about investment on sub-Saharan Africa, you have to mention Nigeria. However, the number of deals you can do in Nigeria are just not that many. But the potential to do those many deals are there. It's just that the opportunity, or maybe the vehicles or the tools to be able to do those deals are just not as many as we should be having. So I think the signaling I want to hear is how the government is ready to make those vehicles available for people to come and plug into. So, for instance, for Mr. Ogunlesi, for instance, he wants to come and invest. He's not going to come and be the one to physically build the factory himself, then start hiring people. He just wants to know that the place that he's going to be able to plug in his funds are available. And that is what, maybe the government is not going to be the one to directly do that, but maybe they can find an Arnold, for instance, who has the interest in doing such a thing, back Arnold,
So the value chain.
You get. So I don't think I'm hearing enough from the government.
We need to go and study Vietnam. There's just been so much news about Vietnam. They're looking to build a financial center, right? There's a lot of capital. If you even look at the graph of private sector growth, private credit growth in Vietnam versus peers, it's like this, right? So that is what you need to be an emerging. They're going to get upgraded to emerging market, right? We are currently unclassified, or we're not even rated. We're trying to ask. We're trying to, investors are on the door saying, you know what? I mean, honest truth is, I had investors this morning who've been buying Nigeria for the last few weeks, and they've sort of put a hold on all their orders going forward on Nigeria because of capital gains tax, right? So what I feel is that there's no one in the center saying, what is our vision, what is our plan. How are we aligning all the different, initiatives? I mean, one of the own goals.
Generally, it's a long time to fix this issue.
I understand. I'm saying one of the own goals we had in Nigeria was we announced capitalization for the banks, and then guess what? The fiscal side comes up with windfall tax. I mean, come on, some of these things are just, they just keep bashing heads. We need a policy alignment of what exactly what first principles. What are we solving for? How are we solving for it, and what does success look like?
Exactly.
When we ask those things, and how do we measure that success at the end of that process? When you have those four things as the core guiding principle of policy direction, we will see better outcomes.
I say that the biggest pain for me is that someone like Aliko is doing a deal in Ethiopia to build the biggest fertilizer refinery on the continent in Ethiopia. We have fertilizer refineries here.
Are you suggesting he does it here again?
That's my point. So you see, it's like even we are like, my guy, go and do it. My guy, you don't try. My guy,
Relax, take it easy. Yeah.
Other people can take the business.
you don't try. We are now feeling sorry for him.
Let him go.
Oh my God. That's the thing. So I think that was the last buy sell hold, but the last one is buy sell hold.
There's one more thing. Special foundation.
Oh yes, we were going to talk about that. Yes, you were going to tell us about the special foundation and the work that you're doing. Arnold likes to feel like he's British. So he was like, "Oh, I wanted to be a part of it."
Maybe I'm not British or Nigerian.
So please tell us about the special foundation and the great work you guys are doing.
No, thanks. I think what the special foundation is, it's an idea.
Yeah,
it's an idea by professionals like ourselves to see how we can influence the quality of leadership that exists in the continent of Africa. And what we have seen is that governments alone, and we've discussed this today, governments alone across the world have never been the main driver for sustainable change. And what we are trying to do is to affect this by ensuring that more children have an access to education. You have over 20 million children documented that are out of school just in Nigeria alone. And what we are trying to do is ensure that more children again, get access to this. How we are doing this is changing the way we think, right? Because again, charity is what everybody does.
Yeah.
I'm sure you are responsible for education of your driver's kids or your relative far distance. But we are saying, let's all come together and do something at scale that makes a sustainable difference.
Yeah.
And so what we are doing, we have about 300 professionals that are coming together that have been on this journey for over 10 years. And what we are doing is bringing our resources, our network, our goodwill, our intellects, and seeing how can we create a platform that can be scaled up. Today, we are providing access. We've influenced over 62,000 children in Nigeria alone.
Wow, that's amazing.
We're providing continuous scholarship for over 600 kids. Just this year, a few months ago, we hosted over 20,000 kids across 15 states.
Wow.
Across 9 states, but 15 centers.
Wow.
And it's just revolutionary because what this is when one person comes and says, I want my kids to go support and train these kids. Another person comes and says, okay, I'll give X to this. We've renovated a couple of public schools across the country. And again, periodically, we're going to schools and mentor the kids. So a lot of these kids in public schools do not see, I'm sure they've never met an Arnold. So they don't see a portfolio investor. They don't even know what that is. I was shocked a few months ago, we went to school and we were with a lawyer who's a partner at one of the top law firms. And he was talking about the meeting with a son. And we're talking to an SS3 student and she was saying, what's a son? And I took that for granted that if you are SS3, you would even have an idea. But she didn't know that. And so it was a great opportunity. It's always a great opportunity to show them pictures of what they can aspire themselves to.
Of course.
And so that's what we're doing. We are showing an idea of what can do. And again, we are having a lot of support from corporate organizations and individuals and trying to ensure we can do something at scale. Because again, like I said earlier, if we forget about our generation, we have to think about the generation of our kids.
Of course.
What kind of world would they live in? If our kids escape and go abroad, they'll come back to this country. And who will be their doctors?
Eventually,
who will be leaders? And so
of course.
We're just trying to influence, that. And Lily also sits on the advisory board of the foundation. I don't know if you know anything, but that's the drive that we're doing.
Yeah.
And,
great work.
Trying to speak to more people.
I'm sure if you reach out to Seyi, you'll be able to get more details about this. It's fantastic. So final buy, sell, hold. Seyi, you're out of this. Dilly, buy, sell, hold, Seyi.
Because it's my friend. Hold this, buy.
Buy, sell.
There's no such thing as buy sell.
Well, there is now.
Because that's a whole.
Buy, sell, for me, like, in terms of what now?
That's a whole.
Too extreme. Yeah, that's it. That's it's a hold. It's a hold.
But I mean, just to give credit to Seyi, he flew in just for this session this morning.
Oh wow.
So you know,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Thank you very much. You see,
Wow.
Look,
That's-
I honestly think that this platform is, in my mind, the best thought leadership platform that
Wow.
we have, and I know
Wow.
and I interact broadly.
wow.
In terms of discussions around, economic direction, I like what you guys are doing, and it's just a privilege to be able to spend the last few hours with you guys.
Oh wow.
Thank you.
That's-
Share
that's
you
it.
people here. You'll be telling that way. This why you wear glasses. The Instagram community, I love you guys. I love you guys. But I've been able to, be cool with the YouTube guys. It's the Instagram guys I don't know. They were trying to harass this week. All right, guys, it's been a great one. I don't know when Ugo Dre, I don't know where he's going to, but it feels like he's going to Miami. I don't know. But yeah, he's going to be away for a little while, but we'll hold ship. So guys, till next week, we'll be here again, same time. We get to film this during the week, but you get to see Friday every 6 p.m. about Friday. Yeah. So till same time next week, be profitable.